Ever feel like you know what you need to do, but for some reason, you just can't keep doing it? Like you get all excited about a new habit, you start strong, maybe even crush the first few days or weeks, and then, bam, it fizzles out. Suddenly you're skipping workouts, your journal's collecting dust, or your side project hasn't been touched in a month. Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not broken. Let's get real for a second. Consistency is hard. It's one of those things we all want, whether it's being consistent with learning, health, business, or just waking up on time. But most of us struggle to keep it going. And here's the twist. It's not because we're lazy or undisciplined. The real problem? We're trying to force consistency without the right foundation. Today, we're going to change that. I want to show you 4 simple shifts that can take you from stop and go to steady and sustainable. And I promise, this isn't about grinding harder or waking up at 5 a.m. unless you want to. It's about working smarter, making consistency feel less like a chore and more like a natural rhythm. So if you've been beating yourself up for not sticking to things, take a breath. You're not failing, you just haven't learned how to build consistency yet. And once you do, that's when everything changes. Your progress compounds, your confidence grows. And that thing you've been trying to build, whether it's a new skill, a side hustle, or just a better daily routine, suddenly starts to feel a lot more doable. All right, let's jump into the first shift, which might sound simple, but it's one of the most overlooked game changers. Start smaller, like way smaller than you think you should. Here's what usually happens. We get motivated and we go big. I'm going to work out every single day for an hour. I'll write 1,000 words every morning. I'll read a book a week. And for a few days, you might actually pull it off. But the moment life gets even a little messy, the routine crashes. And once you miss a day or two, your brain loves to whisper, well, there goes that plan. But here's the secret. Consistency isn't about intensity. It's about identity. It's not how much you do in one day. It's what you prove to yourself over time. So instead of going big and burning out, go small and stick. 5 minutes of reading, 1 push-up, 1 sentence in your journal. The goal isn't to impress anyone. It's to become the kind of person who shows up even when it's not perfect. That tiny action, it's your anchor. It keeps the habit alive. It tells your brain, hey, we're still doing this. And once showing up becomes automatic, then you can build on it. But skipping the foundation is like building a house on sand. So let me ask you, what's one habit you've been struggling with? Now imagine shrinking it down to something so small, it's almost impossible to skip. That's where your real consistency begins. So once you've made things small enough to stick, you've taken a huge step in the right direction. But here's something most people don't realize. What you do is only half the battle. The other half? When and where you do it. This next shift is about creating what I like to call consistency cues. Think of them like little triggers that tell your brain, hey, it's time to do the thing. Because let's face it, if your habit is floating around in your head with no plan, it's way more likely to get pushed off when the day gets busy. Let me give you an example. Say you want to read more, but your goal is just read sometime today. That leaves a lot of room for distraction. Now imagine instead, you tell yourself, every night, right after I brush my teeth, I'll read 1 page. That's a cue. You're attaching the habit to something that already happens automatically. And suddenly you don't have to rely on motivation. It's just what you do. Your environment plays a huge role here too. If your guitar is buried in a closet, guess what? You probably won't practice much. But if it's on a stand, right by your bed or next to your desk, it silently invites you every time you walk by. You've just turned your space into a silent accountability partner. I used to really struggle with writing consistently. I had all the best intentions, but I'd sit down and think, maybe later. But the game changer was setting a time. 9 a.m. every weekday, laptop open, phone in another room. That cue helped turn writing from a scattered wish into a non-negotiable part of my day. And it wasn't about willpower. It was about creating a rhythm I could fall into without thinking. Here's the key. You don't need to make your entire life rigid. You're not a robot. But having 1 or 2 solid anchors in your day, little habits that happen at the same time or in the same spot, can create a chain reaction. One small win leads to another, And suddenly, your day feels more structured without being stressful. So if you're finding it hard to stay consistent, take a look at your cues. Are you trying to rely on memory and motivation? Or are you building a simple, repeatable rhythm into your day? Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get the idea, but what if I just keep falling off track? Totally fair question. And that leads perfectly into the third shift we're going to cover next. Because consistency isn't about never missing a beat. It's about how you bounce back when you do. Let's be honest. No matter how committed you are, life happens. You get sick, a deadline pops up, your kid spills something on your laptop. Whatever it is, your routine takes a hit. And suddenly, that streak you were proud of breaks. You miss one day, then two, and before you know it, you're back at square one. But here's the truth. No one says enough. Consistency is not about being perfect. It's about recovering quickly. That's the third big shift. Learn how to reset without guilt. See, most people treat a missed day like they've failed the whole mission. They tell themselves things like, well, I messed up again, or I knew I wouldn't stick with it. That inner critic shows up fast. And when you believe the slip-up is a sign you're not cut out for it, you stop trying. But here's a better way to look at it. Missing a day is normal. Staying stuck in shame? That's what breaks the habit, not the missed day itself. What works way better is what I call the 48-hour rule. If you miss one day, no problem. Just don't miss two in a row. You give yourself space to be human, but with a built-in bounce-back plan. It's like a safety net for your momentum. I've used this rule in so many areas of my life. Working out, writing, even meditation. And it's saved me more times than I can count. Because instead of spiraling into guilt, I just say, all right, that was yesterday. Today we're back. And that simple reset keeps the streak alive, even if it's not perfect. And honestly, this is where a little self-compassion goes a long way. You wouldn't yell at a friend for missing one study session or skipping a workout, right? You'd encourage them to try again. So why not give yourself that same grace? Another helpful trick here? Track your wins, but in a way that celebrates effort, not perfection. A simple calendar where you mark an X every time you show up, even for a few minutes. It's not about the streak. It's about staying connected to the habit. Because the more often you show up, the more your brain starts to believe, this is who I am now. So if you've been falling off track and feeling stuck, just know, you don't have to go back to the beginning. You're not starting over. You're continuing. Every step counts, even the wobbly ones. All right, we've covered some powerful tools so far. Starting small, setting clear cues, and learning how to bounce back. But there's still one more piece to the puzzle, and it might just be the most important. Because even with all the strategies in the world, if this one thing is missing, consistency will always feel like a fight. So we've talked about starting smaller, setting clear cues, and bouncing back without guilt. Those shifts alone can make a huge difference. But there's one more thing that holds all of it together. And without it, even the best habits tend to fade out. You've probably guessed it. The final key is having a strong why. Because let's be honest, some days you're just not going to feel like it. You'll be tired, busy, or just plain unmotivated. That's normal. But what gets you to show up anyway? It's not discipline, it's meaning. It's knowing why this habit matters to you beyond just the surface. Let's say your goal is to learn a new language. That's awesome. But why? Is it because you want to travel and connect with people? Or get a job that lets you work internationally? Or maybe it's just to prove to yourself that you can do hard things. Whatever the reason, own it. Because when you're connected to a deeper purpose, your brain stops seeing the habit as a chore and starts seeing it as part of something bigger. A great trick for this, ask yourself why 5 times. Seriously, start with a goal, like, I want to work out more. Why? To get in shape. Why? Because I want to feel better in my body. Why? So I can have more energy to play with my kids. Boom! That's your real motivation. And that's what pulls you through on the hard days. When you tie your habits to something emotional, something that matters to you, suddenly showing up doesn't feel like a grind. It feels like alignment. You're not forcing yourself to change. You're showing up because you're becoming the person you want to be. And hey, don't forget to celebrate the little wins along the way. Every time you choose to show up, you're proving to yourself that consistency is possible. It's not about streaks or perfection or hustling nonstop. It's about trust. Trusting that showing up, even in small ways, adds up over time. So let's quickly zoom out for a second. If you've been struggling with consistency, here's what you can do starting today. Shrink the habit down to something so small you can't miss it. Anchor it to something familiar with a cue. Learn to reset quickly when life gets messy and root everything in a purpose that actually matters to you. If you do just those 4 things, you don't have to rely on willpower. You'll have a system that works with your brain, not against it. And listen, you've got this. Seriously. You're already doing the hard part by showing up and wanting to grow. That puts you ahead of 90% of people right there. So be proud of that. Keep going. Even when it's slow, even when it's messy, you're building something real. If this helped you, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and share what habit you're working on right now or how you're going to make your next move more consistent. And of course, if you want more videos like this to help you learn, grow, and keep showing up for yourself, don't forget to like and subscribe. You've got everything you need. Just take the next small step and keep showing up. See you in the next one.